It is a gorgeous Wednesday evening here in New York City at Yankee Stadium. We got a baseball game, and that man will be pitching for the Bombers. And Al Leiter's going to need 4 of those for the kids in the Leiter household. As Kia Motors presents the Wednesday game of the week. Tonight, it's the defending world champion New York Yankees against the Seattle Mariners in the middle game of a 3-game set from Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, New York. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Yankees Baseball along with Al Leiter. I'm Michael Kay. Yankees lost last night. Cliff Lee was great. Yankees starter Phil Hughes struggled, and now you wonder, did Phil Hughes struggle because they skipped him over in that start to try to start the innings limit?
I think that could be a little bit, where he was rusty in a sense. But look, it was only one start. I think if this is all about Phil Hughes figuring out a way to keep his innings down, they have to find spots for him to not get the innings up to where it meant to be. 7 runs, you're right, Michael, he was off. Not only was he off with his command, Franklin Gutierrez got a home run here. He ended up giving up 7 runs. But his velocity was off a little bit. Even though his arm slot may have been dropped a little bit, certainly a disappointing start, but still, so far, Phil Hughes is having a heck of a year.
All right, let's look now at tonight's New York Lottery pitching matchup. Pretty good matchup. Javier Vasquez goes for the Yankees, 6-6, 5.16, and Felix Hernandez is going to go for the Mariners, 5-5, 3.28. Let's examine them both, and I'll start off with King Felix.
King Felix is a front-end starter in Major League Baseball. He's 5th in the American League in strikeouts, and what I like about him is he throws a changeup to right-handers and left-handers. He will throw a fastball anywhere from 95 to 100 miles an hour. He's got a great curveball, great slider, truly a 4-pitch pitcher. And he's unpredictable in the sense that he'll throw any pitch at any time. The Yankee hitters have their hands full tonight. Now with Javi Vasquez, he's pitched much better of late, certainly better than the first 2 months. His month of June, he's 3-1. But against Arizona last week, he ended up giving up 4 runs. He got a no decision, eventual Yankee win in 10 innings. They beat the Arizona D-backs in 10 innings with a 6-5 win. I think it's a matter of him being aggressive with his fastball. When he's got his put-away breaking ball down in the zone, he's quality.
Well, I'd like to have some offensive support. Nick Swisher was great yesterday. In fact, he's had an outstanding year for the Yankees so far. When we get back on segment 2, we examine what it means to be Swishalicious. Consistently outstanding all year has been Nick Swisher. Last year he had that great start, came back down to earth, and also struggled in the postseason. But yesterday, 2 home runs. He's been doing very well.
Yeah, he certainly has. And talking to Kevin Long, it really goes back to last offseason when his postseason numbers were 127. He worked hard over the winter in Arizona with Kevin Long. Yesterday, his 12th and 13th home run solos off a very tough pitcher in Cliff Lee. How about this? 7 home runs at Yankee Stadium this year through 33 games. He had 8 all last year. He's comfortable at in his stance. He's balanced. He's having a heck of a year.
Now let's see what these guys have done against King Felix Hernandez. Swisher has 6 hits, 3 of them home runs. Teixeira hitting .306, also 3 home runs. And Robbie Cano, he hits everybody. 5 for 13 against Felix Hernandez with a home run. He's hitting .385. The opposite opponent for King Felix is Javier Vasquez. And we get back. Lineups, first pitch, baseball coming up next right here on Yes. and by IOTV. IOTV offers you incredible HD picture and sound. HD is free with IOTV. Looks like it's going to be a little bit of a cloudy night, but the weather has been great here in New York City. Another big crowd making its way into Yankee Stadium. The Yankees have taken the field. Javi Vasquez taking his warm-ups, and we're taking a look at the Mariners starting lineup, which is presented by Lexus. Ichiro Suzuki in right field leads off. Batting second and playing second, Sean Figgins. Russell Branyan at first base will hit third. Cleaning up and DHing Milton Bradley. Jose Lopez, the third baseman, will bat fifth. Batting sixth and playing center field, Franklin Gutierrez. Jack Wilson at shortstop bats seventh. Batting eighth and catching, Rob Johnson. And Michael Saunders is in left field, and he is going to bat ninth.
And on the mound for the Yankees, 33-year-old Javier Vasquez will be making his 14th start, 399th career start. 6-6, better in June, 3-1 in June, 75 innings. Good still hit-to-innings ratio. Let's take a look at the pitcher's scatter report. I mentioned a good June. 174 batting average against. I said the 3-1 with a 3 ERA after a bad first 2 months. Getting support, not only run support, almost 5 runs per 9, but no errors behind him. And keep it consistent. At least 10 wins and 150 strikeouts in each of his last 10 seasons during the 2000s.
Well, Vasquez is ready. So is Ichiro Suzuki. And let's do it here in the Bronx as the veteran right-hander deals. That one is swung on and driven to right field. Nick Swisher battling the sun, drifts back and makes the play for the first out. Let's take a look at the Yankees defense, which is brought to you by Mercedes. In the outfield, Curtis Granderson. You just saw Swisher, that's left to right. Infield, A-Rod, Jeter, Cano, and Teixeira, third to first. Cervelli behind the plate, and Javi Vasquez is on the mound. You know what we saw from Ichiro right there? Sometimes he sits on a pitch and tries that home run to lead off the game, and that's what he's trying to do.
You know, we were talking about it yesterday. I think Ichiro, if he wants to hit 15, 20 home runs a year, he can. Certainly a great hitter, spray hitter. But, yeah, I think that as well. Just try to spin on that.
Pitch to Figgins is outside.
Sean Figgins, the big free agent signed for the Mariners. A disappointing year so far. Certainly offensively, they're in the bottom of each category.
Popped up, giving chase is A-Rod, but he'll run out of room. Figgins has at least one stolen base in each of his last 6 games. And only 3 other active players have had a stolen base streak as long as Figgins at any point during their career. Carl Crawford, 9 games in a row. Corey Patterson, 9 in a row. And Jose Reyes, 6. He did it twice in 05 and 07. Foul back.
Struggled early on, Michael, and certainly with on-base percentage. You mentioned about a guy who steals a lot of bases. I think part of his struggle was that, you know, he's trying to justify a nice contract. He got a 4-year deal this winter for $36 million, and comes over to a team and struggled offensively, and it just kind of spirals from there. Especially when you have an entire lineup that just really hasn't performed. And you know, Sean Figgins is a nice player, but certainly not a guy that you'd say the go-to middle of the lineup guy.
Figgins has been a disappointment. Look at the decrease in batting average, 4th largest in the American League. The 1-2. 2-2. Figgins signed to a big money contract, 4 years, $36 million. So he left the Angels to come to the Mariners and has not lived up to the money, the 2-2. That one's driven out to left center field. Granderson got a good jump, and he runs it down for the second out. Let's look now at the game time weather conditions presented by Bigelow Tea. 78 degrees, humidity 25%, wind is 9 miles per hour. And it's a great night for baseball.
Beautiful. 25% humidity. That's very low.
Here's Russell Branyan. Second game with Seattle after being acquired from the Indians. Russell was with the Mariners last year, left as a free agent. But this team desperately needs run producers, and they figure they can get some power out of Branyan. That one's fouled away. And this stadium last year, he did something that no one has done since. He's the only one who's ever done it. He hit the facing of the Mohegan Sun Sports Bar out there in center field. No one has hit that yet. He didn't hit that pitch in the count 1-2.
You know, there are certain guys that you know, this is his second game, and watching the game yesterday, certainly Phil Hughes wasn't on, but you get an infusion of a middle lineup guy. And I do think against right-handers, he's got that imposing figure. But for him to have that presence, and even though Russell Brandon's a nice player, 31 home runs last year, you mentioned Michael, you know, for him to come over in a team that's struggling, gets guys in position. You know, frankly, Gutierrez is batting third. They have nice players that were out of position in lineups, and I think, you know, who knows how this month will play out for the Mariners, but certainly Brandon is a nice pickup.
Swing and a miss. So 3 home runs lifetime against Vasquez. Brandon strikes out. Mariners go down in order, and the Yankees coming to bat. About 7th. First major league start for Colin Curtis in left, and Francisco Cervelli is going to bat 9th and catch.
24-year-old Felix Hernandez would be making his 17th start. Quality pitcher for the American League and certainly for the Seattle Mariners. Kind of a 1A kind of situation with 2 aces with Cliff Lee last night. 105 strikeouts. He's 5th in the American League. Very nice hits to innings ratio. Let's take a look at the pitcher scout report. Well, I mentioned ace. How about this? The M's are 32-18 in games started by Hernandez. That goes back to the start of last year. Swing and miss stuff. Of his 26 strikeouts over his last 3 starts, 24 of them are swinging. And security, he was rewarded by the Mariners giving him a 5-year deal this winter.
Here's the captain, Derek Jeter, against King Felix. Swing and a miss. Well, that was a statement by the Mariners that they were not going to lose their developed pitcher that they had through their system. And they signed him to a 5-year, $78 million deal. Market deal, no bargain because they're a smaller market. And they made the move. They were aggressive, and they locked up Felix Hernandez. A lot of people felt that he would be one of the most pursued free agents when he hit the market. The Mariners didn't want to deal with it.
Well, you know, people forget sometimes when players get to the big leagues so young. He was the 3rd youngest. Got to the big leagues at 19 years old. He's 24 years old. He's got 5 years in the big leagues. I mean, this kid is still a kid. Still learning on the job. You talk about learning on the job, Michael, just watching that first pitch to Derek Jeter, knowing that Derek will swing at first pitch fastballs, threw a first pitch of the game, a changeup. And this is a guy that'll throw a ball in the mid to upper 90s.
But is the first pitch of a game when it's a changeup, is it effective? Because what are you changing up from?
I never liked first pitch changeup, and that's a great point in question because exactly, if you throw 95 first pitch of the game, if you want to get a guy out with a changeup, throw a fastball either up and in, let him see it, feel it, or something off the plate, and then come back with the changeup. But his changeup is really that good, and I think it's special because of the velocity of being where it is, and then to have a good changeup and use it. Rob Johnson, the home plate or catcher for the Mariners. Let's see if this is high enough. See how the catcher just kind of pulled it away a little bit, had to pull it back up. Home plate umpire Angel Hernandez saw it as a ball. And
Derek Jeter works a walk. Let's check out the Mariner defense, which is brought to you by Mercedes. This is the same lineup they trotted out yesterday. Saunders, Gutierrez, and Ichiro. Right to left. Ichiro with 9 straight gold gloves. A lot of hardware. Lopez, Wilson, Figgins, and Branyan, third to first. Rob Johnson behind the plate. And Felix Hernandez is on the mound. Here's Nick Swisher yesterday, 2 home runs against Cliff Lee. Swing and a miss.
Well, I mentioned in the open, as we were highlighting Swisher and how comfortable he is, and just talking to Kevin Long, just, you know, that postseason bothered him enough to go to Arizona in the winter and work with Kevin Long, the hitting coach.
I think the thing that really sent him out to Arizona, other than the plane, was that he really struggled so much in the postseason. He just felt that because he was facing the best pitchers and the best teams, they exploited him. And he wanted to close up the holes that they were able to exploit. And so far, he's done that. Very quiet at the plate, keeping his head still. Not too many moving parts up there. Now, 1 year ago, he was at 237. Now, that's 237, right? After having a phenomenal April where he carried the team. And now 55 points more a season later. Not too bad. He's going to be in the argument. I don't know if he's going to get there, but he's going to be in the argument for the All-Star team. He's having that sort of first half. 1-2. Swing and a miss. And Swisher down on strikes.
You know, a lot to be said for this game, to be comfortable and be mentally where you need to be, and not having gremlins and everything else talking in your head as to what you need to do. And I think even Swisher may have said this earlier in the year. When you're struggling, you try harder. The harder you try, the worse it gets. And it's really true. In baseball, certainly, maybe in everything in life. But, you know, very comfortable.
Here's Mark Teixeira. He has the average up to 230. He has a very strange hitting streak going on right now. He has a 10-game hitting streak, and during the 10 games, he has 11 hits. So a 10-game hitting streak, but he's hitting just 268. It's like a vitamin hitting streak, 1 a day. He's not really red hot right now, but he's picking up at least a hit a game. And then slowly he's inching that average up. Came into the season a 290 lifetime hitter. Don't know if he's going to get there this year. He's going to have to finish very strong to do that. Well, there's a strike.
Well, Michael, hopefully he's not looking at it, because, you know, all along we talk about, you know, historically in his career, he's always had a slow April, and he tried different things last year. This year he went back to, you know, his normal routine in the winter. You know, now when you struggle a couple months, it's more than just a slump. And if you keep looking at that batting average, it's only going to make it worse.
Swing and a miss as Teixeira strikes out for the second half. IOTV offers you incredible HD picture and sound. HD is free with IOTV, the official HD service provider of Yankees baseball on Yes.
I mean, that's a very impressive changeup from Felix Hernandez. Already in this inning, he's thrown, I have him down for 5 changeups. He's only thrown 13 pitches. You know, tough. You know, there's an unpredictable nature to guys with this kind of stuff where you got to honor his fastball, 95 or better, and he's going to throw his changeup, curveball, and slider.
There's that fastball, keeping it low, swung on and missed.
Here's a changeup I'm talking about. Just the bottom drops out. You see, it actually misses location. He's reading this unbelievable pitch.
Now, I think all major league players respect other ones, but when you see a great player like Teixeira walk back to the dugout and mouth the word unbelievable, that tells you what he thinks of the stuff.
And I think it's the nature of a great changeup for a guy. You know, we're not talking Jamie Moyer or a guy, you know, who relies on having to always change speeds.
That one gets away from Johnson, and Jeter advances to 7.
But watching early here, the Yankee hitters are trying to jump on the early fastball from a very tough pitcher. See a little slider. He's got the big curveball, kicks away to Johnson, trying to keep it in front of him. Wild pitch.
that one gets away from Johnson as well. So Hernandez's stuff is so electric that the catcher can't handle it early here.
All right, I'd be curious to see what they call here. This looks like a pass ball. He just clanks it. You see his wrist as a catcher kind of takes the pitch out of the zone. It's a boring sinker, and it's not just 91, 92. That's a 94-mile-an-hour sinker. They did.
Pass ball.
Pass ball.
Count 2-2 on A-Rod. Just missed. Count 3-2. That is a close pitch to take. 107 strikeouts for Hernandez. Jared Weaver, the Angels, leading the American League. John Lester second. And then King Felix.
5th to 3rd. Couple of strikeouts.
Three-two. And A-Rod works a walk. So 2 walks here in the first inning. It's been a no-contact inning, 2 walks and 2 strikeouts.
Yeah, now this is, I'm watching him, Michael. This young pitcher, as great as he is, he's frustrated. He thought he missed a pitch that Derek Jeter, he called the ball down. Now you saw the previous pitch. That last one was definitely down to Alex, but maybe the pitch before. So far, Alex Angel Hernandez is not calling the low strike.
Here's Robinson Cano, leading the major leagues with a .358 average. Blocked there by Johnson. Now, Friday evening, Al, Vicente Padilla of the Dodgers plunked Robinson Cano. Later in the game, CC Sabathia then hit Vicente Padilla. Now, Sabathia's not going to say whether he did it on purpose, but he said he was upset when he hit Cano. He said, I've watched Padilla throughout his career when I was with the Indians. What he does when he starts, he takes the hottest hitter on the team and he always hits him. He said after a while it gets old. So that's just from studying. Robinson Cano now becomes a target because he's so hot. And that one is driven the other way. But CC said it does make it a different game, though, in the National League. He said, you can do that. You got to come up and hit.
That's right. That is exactly right. I know over the years, people seeing Pedro Martinez going after guys, and you have to be able to command the inside part of the plate. But there's also, you as a guy who's pitching on the staff, you have to protect your players. And if you think it's obvious, and you could tell, if the game either is playing out to that, or you got a guy with better command than that.
1-1. Driven out into left center field, giving Chase Saunders. He leaps, and he makes the play. Saved a couple of runs right there and took an extra base hit away from Cano. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 2 men left on base. We played 1, and only Michael Saunders' catch keeps it 0-0. first ballot Hall of Famer.
Are you
come
kidding?
on. Really? Do I even have to give out the number?
If that's not 100%, there's something wrong.
Text your vote to 58772. Standard text messaging rates apply. One is yes. I'm not going to tell you what the second one is. That's brutal. Really, are we trying? There's the pitch to Bradley. No, he's not going to be a first ballot. It'll be the 6th year of eligibility. Wow. Bradley fouls it back and the count 0-2. In fact, I want to see the writer from the BBWAA who does not vote him on the first ballot. Why would Ken Griffey Jr. not be a unanimous selection?
Aren't there writers?
There's never been a unanimous selection. That one is driven deep to center field. Granderson back. He's still back. He's on the track. See ya! A lone home run for Milton Bradley on an 0-2 pitch. And the Mariners lead 1-0.
Wow. Change up down in the zone. Milton Bradley going into this game against Vasquez was 3 for 18, a 167 batting average. Looked like a pretty good pitch. Let's see where it ends up. A little bit higher than Vasquez would have liked. That's a changeup that should have gone down and away. Good approach. Talking about these Mariner hitters have struggled yesterday. Milton Bradley had a couple of nice line drive hits there on the Yes-Mo, hands out front.
Pitch to Lopez is high 1-0. So Milton Bradley with his 8th home run. In his last 2 starts, Vasquez did not allow a home run. Lopez rips one foul. Lopez has a 12-game hitting streak.
Turning the season around, along with, we mentioned Sean Figgins. A nice season last year, Lopez. 25 home runs for the Mariners.
But he was playing second base, so he's obviously maybe moving over to third base. That almost hit Felix Hernandez, that line drive. But maybe moving over to third, just getting comfortable there. He's played it before, but he'd been playing second base. What I didn't understand about that was Figgins had been a third baseman with the Angels, so why change both of their positions? They decided to go with Figgins at second.
Well, it's a power position. The fact that Lopez had 25 home runs at second base, certainly Figgins doesn't possess that kind of power. You need some production at your third baseman.
High fly ball, deep left, backing up Curtis. And he makes the play in front of the warning track for the first out.
All going over scatter reports, and saw Dave Island next to Joe Girardi. Each and every one of these hitters are you sit down with the starting pitcher and the catcher, and you go through each of the strengths and weaknesses of every hitter.
Now they're sending up Ryan Langerhans instead of Franklin Gutierrez, who was the starter at center, definitely in our opening lineup. And Langerhans lines that one into left center field, really dunks it in for a base hit.
Unusual. Were there any plays out there for him to run it down?
Well, the Yankees are changing it in their dugout as well. We did not hear Langerhans announced as a pinch hitter, but he obviously was that. So Gutierrez started in center, and you take Gutierrez off your active players roster right now. There's a strike to Jack Wilson.
Jack Wilson picked up from the Pirates along with Ian Snell, who's in the minor leagues now with the Mariners, and hasn't really filled the potential of what they envisioned for Jack Wilson at shortstop. He's had some knee trouble, spent some time on the disabled list. And really much of what the Mariners tried to do this offseason was really the strength of what they thought would be a great starting rotation, certainly with Cliff Lee and Felix Hernandez. They have Eric Bedard coming back, and just really thought about defense. Improvement on the outfield, covered a lot of ground at Safeco Field. But I think of, the balance, of course, and you look at what the Red Sox tried to do also, Michael, with the addition of Cameron and Beltre and Scudero. You have to have a fear. I always thought this as a pitcher. There's got to be a guy or two where you kind of fear in the sense of, where am I going to pitch? A game changer. You know, you look at the Mariners, they have a lot of nice players, but, you know, I don't really see that game-changer hitter. Yes, Ichiro's a great hitter, and Milton Bradley's fine. You know, you have a lot of nice players. And I think that's been a lacking part of their lineup.
You know, Al, they got so caught up that they made such great strides last year just with defense. And I think they thought that they could make more strides, but you have to be able to hit the ball and score runs to take advantage of defense. And I think their wires got crossed this year. And by the way, we did check the tape from the first inning, and Gutierrez was in center field. So something obviously happened to him out there. So that's a loss for the Mariners because Gutierrez is a Gold Glove level center fielder. Home run in yesterday's game, too.
Good player.
Foul back.
Yeah, that, you know, and just thinking along with what the Mariners tried to achieve this winter, Jack Zarensic, a very aggressive new general manager for the Mariners, Don Wakamatsu there, the manager of the club. And, you know, how far do you go? You know, if you think, you know, pitching and defense is the wave of Major League Baseball, you still have to have a guy or two that can thump and turn a game around with one pitch. And feared also. And I don't mean fear where you're afraid of him, but, you know, where you really respect, you know, the hitter in the lineup, and you stop and you analyze the bats and figure out, you know, where can you go to make sure that, you know, he's not going to have some damage. And game changer like an Alex Rodriguez, certainly, or Mark Teixeira.
2-2. Well, you know what I think they got caught in? And teams that don't have the wherewithal to have the biggest budget in the world are looking for undervalued aspects of the game. And it started with Billy Beane and Moneyball. They felt that high on-base percentage guys were undervalued and that they could get important players for less money. Well, the Mariners then took it to the next metric, which is defense. Defense was undervalued. So they went that route, and they acquired defense. They went out and they got a guy like Gutierrez. They felt that enough of the league still wasn't onto the defensive metrics and what they could mean to a team. But once that stuff becomes public, Al, I once asked Billy Beane, why did you let Moneyball be written? It kind of let all the secrets out of the bags, and those players now got paid a lot of money because they were high on base guys. Then the defense thing got out of the bag, and now everybody's trying to get defense, so they're not undervalued anymore. So you have to look for the next cheap thing. What is the next cheap thing? You don't know. Swing and a miss. Wilson down on strikes. Hey, stay tuned during the sixth inning for a message from our friends at the Fox Business Network.
Just in line with what you're saying, Michael, the career on base percentage for the guys that we're talking basically. Figgins, Kochman was brought in, Milton Bradley, true professional hitters, good on base percentage. Figgins' career on base is 363 or 393 last year, or career wise. This year it's 237. Bradley's career is 371, is 292. Kochman, who now is not going to be playing because now with Branyan here, his was 337. This year 268. So when you gear your offense around guys that on base percentages, Michael's saying, and they're not performing, where do you go?
Shattered bat. A-Rod running away from the bat as the ball is fouled.
Well, every so often you hear kitchen. Well, this is in the kitchen. A big barrel. Now watch Alex run away from the barrel. A little spike on it. It's dangerous. Ball boring in on Johnson.
Check swing. Did he go? Yes, he did, said Paul Schreiber. So Rob Johnson down on strikes. But the Mariners take the lead. 1 run on 2 hits, no errors, and 1 man left. The one big hit off the bat of Milton Bradley. No game plan there, just a home run. 1-0 Seattle.
induce a lot of ground balls, a lot of double plays, can strike you out. He's, another one of the very talented young pitchers in baseball right now.
Well, Joe's got that right, and that's what people think about Hernandez, and that's why the Mariners felt good coming into this year. You get Cliff Lee, and you team him up with Hernandez, and you got two aces. I mean, it's hard to differentiate 1 and 1A. They're both great pitchers, but it hasn't turned out that way. The pitchers have done their job. The rest of the team has.
Third in the American League in ERA. I was talking to Rick Adair. And I also talked to Jack Zarensic about, some scenarios. Everyone's talking about it's a foregone conclusion that Cliff Lee's going to get traded. Because you have the pitching. And now, granted, they're 15 back or 14 back. 14 games back. They're last in a division with 4 teams behind the Texas Rangers, the Angels, and the Oakland A's. He also mentioned, Jack Zarensic, that, we're getting Eric Bedard back,
right,
which was another guy when healthy is a front-end guy. That's right. Doug Fister's been a nice find, certainly. Jason Vargas has really found himself. He's had a nice year. So, yes, they're getting good starting pitching. So the scenario I posed to Jack Zarensic was, what happens if your club goes, 22-8 in July? You make up 7 or 8 games. He said, look, we would have to reassess at that time. And it's always the adage of anybody's available if you get the right players back.
And what people don't realize about Jack Zarensic, and he's the GM of the Mariners, he's a scout by trade. You see the AL West standings right there. And he's got a lot of great scouts working for him. They're not numbers crunchers. They're going to go and they're going to scout people and they're going to look and they're going to take out the stopwatch. They're going to do it like the old-time guys. And if they don't trade Cliff Lee, they offer him arbitration and then Lee signs a big-time contract. That one is lined into center field, and Saunders, who moved to center from left, makes the play. They have enough faith in themselves that they'll take those 2 first-round draft picks, and they think they're going to turn them into good players.
Do you really believe that?
I think that they have a lot of faith in themselves, and they're not going to give Lee away. They're not going to give Lee away for middling prospects. They're going to give Lee away for great prospects, and if not, they'll create their own great prospects. I really, truly believe they have that much faith in themselves as scouts.
Well, and they, mentioned Carmen Fusco, hit one of Jack Zarensic's advisors. There's no question about it. But look, you're talking about the prize potential trade commodity come July 31 and Cliff Lee, who's going to be a free agent.
Yep.
Probably will go somewhere else. You will lose him, and you get a draft pick. I gotta believe, Michael, that you're going to get 3-4 quality prospects that are close to big league ready than if you go out and go the amateur route.
I think you're right, and I think he will be dealt because I think there's so many teams that realize he's a difference maker. The difference between either making the playoffs or not, or going deep in the playoffs. That one is driven deep to left, and Longerhans runs it down for the second out. I think there's going to be 7 or 8 teams bidding for him, and Zarensic is going to be able to just pick and choose the best package. I think he's going to do very well with Lee.
But I think it's really great that you have a guy who's willing to still make the move and mix and match. They traded for Russell Brandon, brought him in to solidify some middle of the lineup power, not giving up.
Here's Colin Curtis. Curtis and Francisco Cervelli actually went to Mount Sinai Hospital today to plead for a person to come forward for a possible match for a bone marrow transplant to help a little girl named Sofia Lopez, 6 months old. So if you're interested, you can go to www.getswabbed.org. Nice way for Colin and Francisco to spend their morning before the game.
Just another part of a baseball player's life, and there's so many charitable endeavors by baseball players and professional athletes all over doing their part.
Strike 3. Colin Curtis is down looking. And the Yankees go down in order 1, 2, 3. We played 2 innings at the stadium. Javi Vasquez and the Yankees trailing 1-0. zeros across against King Felix. And Michael Saunders will lead off against Javi Vasquez. Saunders, the number 9 batter, and he swings at the first pitch and fouls it back. Third inning means it's time we check in with our very own Kimberly Jones. Hi, Kimbo.
Hey, Mike.
How are you?
Great. How are you? It's a lovely night.
It really is, and you look great as well.
Thank you.
Phil Hughes did not look great last night, and I thought that the manager of the Yankees was very blunt afterward, admitting that skipping over Phil and that innings limit thing might have had an effect on him. What did Phil Hughes say today?
You know what his response was, Michael? You'll love this. He said, I'm not buying into it. He said, I'm not an excuse guy. He said, yeah, I was on my 9th day, but from the first pitch, I felt normal. I just didn't throw well. He said, every time this happens this season and I don't throw well.
That one is driven deep to right field. Swisher back, turning, looking. See ya. A home run for Saunders, and it's 2-0 Seattle.
One of the good-looking young players for the Mariners. That's his 6th home run on the season. Only the .206 batting average. Gets what looks like a slider that spins middle of the plate. He drops the barrel of the bat on the ball. Certainly here at Yankee Stadium. Getting that ball in that right field area over the fence easily. Nice approach. Number 6, the Yesmo. Good swing, head down. Mistake slider from Javi Vasquez cost him 2 solo home runs.
All right, so what was Phil saying there, Kim?
He said, every time I don't pitch well, when I am skipped, and it's going to happen again this season, Michael, he said everyone's going to go to the extra rest. That's not necessarily the case. So no excuses from Phil Hughes. I think you at least have to respect that.
I also respect the fact that he never brought it up at all, Kim, that he is really under the weather. He's not feeling well at all, and he refuses to use that as an excuse.
Yeah, he's really battling a cold. He said, oh, this is nothing. He said, I did feel worse Monday and yesterday. He said, but that's not an excuse either. And, Al, how about this for you as a former pitcher? He said, as Ichiro grounds out, he said, you have to experience some adversity. He said, what fun is it if you never battle? He said, when you battle, that makes you appreciate it all the more when you go out there and have a great outing with your great stuff. And by the way, he said, I will get back to that soon.
You know, Kim, and you cover the club. Obviously, you're in the clubhouse often. This is typical. I mean, just listen. There are certain guys that will answer certain questions because that's how you're supposed to answer. I mean, is this typical of Phil Hughes? Is he beyond his years?
Yeah, he's only 24. Now, Felix Hernandez is 24, too, so he's not completely rare in this. But Phil Hughes, standing at his locker today, answered questions from me, from anyone else who had them. That's who Phil Hughes is. He's been that way as far as I've known him in his Yankee career, and it's something that I think the writers respect about him.
Now, CC Sabathia is probably happy, or he's going to be happy in about 4 hours. That one is tapped back to Vasquez as Piggins is retired, because that's when the NBA deadline begins, that you can actually talk to NBA free agents. Everybody thinks that CC is actually LeBron's agent. So what's going on with CC?
Yeah, I asked him about this. He said, I can't wait till it's over, which, as you know, Michael's going to be another week or so. He said, because then everyone will stop asking me about it. He said, I'm going to find out when all of you do. Yes, he and LeBron are friends. He says he truly doesn't know where he's going, doesn't want to know at this point. And he says he doubts LeBron will check in with him during the process.
Now, CC's also good friends with a potential free agent. That's Cliff Lee. And what's the situation there? Is CC doing some recruiting?
He is, and over dinner at Nobu, they had some sushi Monday night. Cliff Lee, Milton Bradley joined them, and CC talked. CC said it wasn't much about baseball, but they are very close. As we have a hit by the pitch.
Yep, Russell Branyan will take first.
And they're very close. In fact, CC credits Cliff Lee for helping him relax on the days he pitches. He said, I used to get more stressed out. Then I watched Cliff, who's as relaxed as can be. He usually sleeps till 6 o'clock on the couch on the day he pitches. The point being, they remain very close, although they didn't talk much baseball Monday night. I believe it wouldn't surprise any of the parties if the former Indians teammates or future teammates someday in the future.
Well, they were back-to-back Cy Young Award winners for Cleveland. We'll talk to you in the postgame. Kimberly, thank you.
Sounds good, Michael. By the way, CC picked up the tab because he says, I always do.
And he also makes the most money. CC is nice a guy. I mean, he's unbelievable. He's universally liked across all factions in the clubhouse. And, I mean, he has really drawn this clubhouse together. He's just that sort of guy. He's like a Pied Piper type.
Big teddy bear.
That one is grounded softly toward third. Alex Rodriguez fields, fires across the diamond. And the guy who ate with CC at Nobu, Milton Bradley, gets himself an infield single.
Running off all that sushi. Had to leg it out here. Little excuse me swing gets jammed. Alex Rodriguez making his best effort. Milton Bradley, plenty of speed, easily getting in.
By the way, Gutierrez left the game with an upset stomach. So that's the word we get from the Mariners. Al, were you the pick up the tab guy when you played?
Yeah.
Or was it Piazza? Was it Franco?
No, please. I picked up the tab.
All the time. And Piazza made more money.
Some guys had alligator arms. Yeah, I always thought, never ever would you allow a younger player to pick up any tabs or pay their way. And Johnny Franco was good as well. But
so you're kind of intimating that Piazza had alligator arms.
No. I'm saying some guys did. He did come up through the Dodgers with Tommy Lasorda as his manager, who was known to get a lot of free dinners.
Oh, you just made so many enemies with that one line. Count 0-1 on
bad.
Lopez.
Some people get free dinners. You get a lot of free dinners.
Yeah, I'm cheap. That's why.
Let's see, the last, 3 or 4 dinners? They were free, right? That we've been out?
But no, I treated you last time we went out. Remember, you fought me on it? When we had lunch in Boston. At Joe's American, remember?
Oh, yes.
Wow, what an animal. Count 1-2 on Lopez. First and second, 2 outs. Count 2-2. Although last time your friend Scott picked up a big deal.
Big. That was nice. We got to bring him back up to New York.
Got to move him up here.
Fastball, couple curveballs and a changeup. Let's see if he elevates with a high fastball there.
This will be his 50th pitch of the night, the 2-2. Missed outside.
So Jose Lopez has seen the whole arsenal in this at bat. 3-2 count, couple fastballs, curveball, changeup, and slider.
Not a good spot for Lopez. He's 8 for 46. That's 174 with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. Right in on the hands, and he just fights it off and fouls it off.
Well, that's it. You just said the numbers now. Swinging at a changeup, tough enough for a hitter to stay back and identify ball or strike, but those numbers would support a guy who's super aggressive, as he just showed there, that 174 batting average against. 2 outs, runners in scoring position. And Javi Vasquez, knowing that, you got a guy who wants to get the RBI. Usually a hitter that'll swing at pitches out of the zone, as he just did.
That one is lined over the leaping try of Jeter into center field. Branyan scores. Bradley goes to third, an RBI single for Lopez, and it's 3-0 Seattle. And you have to stop it right here because the guy on the mound is Felix Hernandez. You're not going to score that many runs off him. And Dave Island will go out and talk with Javi Vasquez.
Well, it's a little fastball that ends up being up in the zone. He gets jammed enough, and I see where Derek leaps. Oh, boy, just out of the outstretched reach arm.
Let's see how close it was on the Coors Light freeze cam. Freeze it. Very close.
2 quick outs, a hits batsman by Russell Branyan. A little swing and bunt. Part of it, part of the game. Sometimes line drives are out. Little bloopers. Keep making pitches as a pitcher.
That has to be frustrating.
It is.
Although he did miss with his location on that pitch, and Lopez just didn't hit it hard, but a flare over Jeter.
Yeah, but also too, Michael, 3-2. He gave his whole arsenal. You don't want to walk him. You got a guy who likes to swing. He did miss in the zone, See how he jumped.
Yeah, he was trying to get up there with Jeter. Pitch to Langerhans is a strike. One. 2-1.
A little different approach when you go in at Javi Vasquez along with Cervelli going through a scout report. Langerhans obviously not in the lineup. Now he's added, inserted. He's 1 for 4 lifetime up until that last at bat. He first swung at the first pitch. Want to get on the same page. Know his weaknesses and strengths.
Off speed, way out in front, 2-2.
Through the changeup and then the backdoor curveball. Very nice pitch. Come back with something else off speed. I always thought if a hitter just looked like they were either overmatched or fooled enough to where you could go to the well until they prove that they can hit it. I mentioned about going into 1 for 4. That one hit was a home run prior to his first at bat when he hit the base hit to left.
And the 2-2. 3-2.
Showing all off speed right here to Langerhans. Curveballs, a couple curves, a couple changeups. See if he goes to the fastball or ends up going off speed here.
Swing and a miss. And then off speed, and that'll do it. But Seattle gets 2 runs on 3 hits. No errors, 2 men left. It started with Michael Saunders going yard, right field. And at the end of it all, 2.5 in, 3-0 Seattle. More game against Seattle. Mark the starting time tomorrow. It's 1:05, and then all 3 games against the Blue Jays over the weekend. 1:05 on the 4th of July weekend, and then the Yankees take to the coast. 3 in Oakland and 4 in Seattle. Francisco Cervelli will lead off. Pitches inside. Now the 1 o'clock game tomorrow. Our coverage on Yes will begin at 12:30. 12:30 out.
Okay, right in there. Got it.
Pitch outside, 2-0.
Well, you mentioned it. You know, he's down by 3 runs. Certainly not insurmountable, but a tough pitcher. And Felix Hernandez, you got to figure out a way to chip away. Just push across a couple runs. Manufactured runs.
Popped up and out of play. Three-two. Driven deep to center field. Saunders back. He has room. One out.
Well, if there's ever a spot as a pitcher, usually the outer third, outer half, you let a guy in a bad count, 3-1 count, to see him hit a high fly ball to center field. Not that you directed it like a Nintendo game. Usually results in a fly ball to center.
You ever played a Nintendo game and you were outlighter?
I don't think it was Nintendo. What are the newer games like?
Wii?
MLB, is it
MLB 2K10?
Yeah.
I mean, is there an outlighter there?
Yeah, Jack plays it.
Yeah? How does Jack do his outlighter?
I think it's okay. I think it burns out a little early. My stuff goes down quickly. That's what Jack says. Dad, you got good stuff, but it goes down quickly. I said, that was like how I pitched.
Now, does the little animated outlighter have good command on the game?
Oh, excellent.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's a
No
game.
3-2 counts. Boy, it's the old, what I know now, how I would have done it differently.
Isn't that funny, though, that your son Jack says that your stuff falls off early?
It's all right. Hey, you know what? I thought it was pretty cool that you're in the game and your son can play it.
Strike three. Jeter down looking. Well, Hernandez starting to deal. That is his fourth strikeout.
Well, he comes right after Derek and paints the inside corner. Can't do much about that. You just hope to fight it off at 94, 95 mile an hour fastball. Perfect pitch.
That's going to bring up Nick Swisher. Grounded to first. Branyan fields, and the Yankees retired quickly. 3 up and 3 down, 7 in a row. Hernandez has retired. We go to the fourth. 51. Well, who were the other two?
It's a good question.
Pitch to Jack Wilson is a strike.
Got the bottom of the order here. 7, 8, 9, and Vasquez. You want to settle down, throw up a 0. You know you're facing a tough pitcher.
That one is grounded to short. 1 away.
That's what you try to do. You've got an offense that's struggling. I know they didn't show it last night and tonight here with the 5 hits and 3 runs. But certainly in the bottom of the lineup, you want to get through it, 3 up, 3 down, get your guys in there.
Bunted foul.
Rob Johnson certainly doesn't have the speed, but Alex Rodriguez playing way back, giving him a bunt. Somebody who's struggling, 206 batting average.
Mariners offense really plodding along. Last in runs, next to last in average and on base percentage, last in home runs, last in slugging.
Not good.
The discussion there between Angel Hernandez and Javi Vasquez.
Oh, don't go to your mouth on the pitcher's rubber. Now that was a rule change. They used to have to step off. And Javi walked off the pitching dirt area, and you can lick your hand and rub the ball down. But to save time, they said just be off the pitcher's rubber.
It's always startling how often Angel Hernandez is injected into a game when he's umpiring the game.
What are you saying? He wants to be noticed?
I have no idea, but don't you sense that when Angel Hernandez is umpiring a game, you know he's umpiring the game.
And really, the biggest compliment for any umpire is that you don't know that they're there. So, yeah, it does seem like that. I know over the years, he's a long-time umpire. He, somehow gets in some degree of controversy. Now on the pitches, so long as you can step off in this area and lick your fingers, so long as you wipe the ball off, to save time. Instead, previously you had to go on the grass.
They changed that rule this year, right?
Yes.
To save time.
That's right.
The 1-0. Angel Hernandez was part of the crew the opening series against Boston. Joe West made the comments that we detailed yesterday, and Angel Hernandez would not grant Derek Jeter timeout when he wanted to step out after a pitch.
Or David Ortiz. It was both sides.
There's a strike. And I'm not saying he's a bad ump by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just saying that it always seems to be something. And that's the umpiring crew tonight. And I knew that Angel was actually going to be the home plate umpire today. So what I did when I had some free time today is I looked through every single one of Al Leiter's games that he pitched with Angel Hernandez behind the plate. Now, your ERA was in the 3s lifetime. With Angel, though, 4.70 is the home plate umpire. Swing and a miss. As Michael Saunders down on strikes. A 1-2-3 inning for Javi Vasquez. We go to the bottom of the 4th. It's 3-0 Seattle. We go to the bottom of the fourth inning. Yankees are down 3-0. Heart of the Yankee order against Felix Hernandez. Mark Teixeira takes pitch outside, 1-0. Struck out in the first inning and walked back to the dugout saying unbelievable. But he comes back and lines one sharply into the right field corner. Ichiro will play it out there. And standing on second with a double, Mark Teixeira. That's the Yankees' first base hit.
Well, he was mouthing unbelievable on the changeup. Here he gets a fastball middle of the plate. Nice swing, crushes that ball down the right field line. Gets the pitch. Hernandez just putting it in there for him. 15th double on the year. Nice way to start this inning. There's the yes-mo, hands inside. Beautiful swing. Now you talk about balance and being in position to get the barrel of the bat to the ball. Certainly Teixeira did there.
Here's Alex Rodriguez. Grounded foul.
Now that's a fine line with what the Yankee hitters are doing. They're getting the fastball. Felix Hernandez doesn't just have a typical 95 mile an hour, which is tough enough to hit. It's got movement, it's got sink. Yankee hitters early in this game, they're getting the fastball early in the count, first pitcher. They're giving it a pass. Another one. Rob Johnson getting. Now how they do it, Michael?
John Flaherty tells me that you don't feel it. I don't know how you don't.
Happens so fast, man. Not wasting any pitches. 3 strikes to Derek Jeter's. Locked him up on the inside part of the plate. Attacked in the zone. See if he tries to waste a pitch here on Alex. 3 fastballs in a row on the inside part of the plate.
The double by Teixeira extends his hitting streak to 11 straight. Pitch to Alex is inside, 1-2. Grounded foul. King Felix has made 5 starts against the Yankees in his career. 2-3, 4.59. He's 5-5 overall, but in his last 3 starts, 2-0, 1.69. And he's pitched 2 straight complete games as well.
And the other one, he was 1 out away from a complete game the previous start. You know, part of that too, there's a workload for your pitchers. Certainly Don Wakamatsu's shown that he's going to his 1-2 ace in Cliff Lee and Hernandez. 3 starts ago, he went 8 2/3 against San Diego, went 128 pitches. The last 2, like I said, the complete games, 116, 117 pitches respectively. And that's what's tough with the Yankee lineup. If you wait them out and keep fouling off tough pitches, walk. We saw it early in the game yesterday with Cliff Lee, trying to get his pitch count up, but when the game kind of got blown open, he was able to limit his pitches and go and complete the game with 115 pitches. But through 3 innings yesterday, he had 45 pitches. Cliff Lee.
This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the New York Yankees and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the New York Yankees. 1-2. 2-2. Teixeira leads off second. Still nobody out. Those are the last 3 starts. Out of a possible 27 innings, he's pitched 26 2/3. And he's also had 26 strikeouts in those innings and only 3 walks. 2 walks in the first inning, but he wiggled out of it. 2-2. Swing and a miss. Got him on that tight slider. Let's take a look at the New York State Smokers Quick Line quiz and the answer to the quiz. Ichiro is one of 3 players to have at least 240 hits in a season since 1931. Who are the other 2? Wade Boggs had 240 and 85. Darren Erstad, also 240.
Where did Tony Gwynn in that?
Yeah.
George Brett, didn't he bat almost 400?
Guess he had a lot of walks. Here's Robinson Cano. Cano lined out to left in the first with runners on first and third with 2 outs.
Robbie's on pace for those kind of numbers.
Mattingly in 86 had 238 hits. Grounded foul.
.107 hits coming into today's game. Robinson.
That's the Yankees' 78th game. Now, the most hits that Tony Gwynn ever had was 220.
Must have got walked a lot. God, it seemed like you got a hit almost every at bat. Hit the ball hard.
High fly ball left field. Longer Hans is there for the second out. So a leadoff double and still Teixeira at that bag. Here's Posada. Jorge flied out to center in the second. He's 3 for his last 20. He's a DH again tonight. And if you look at the Yankee bench, he's the best DH they have. So you put him in as the DH, and then you have Cervelli catch, and that's probably your best lineup. Nick Johnson and Marcus Thames, if they eventually come up the DL, well, then it's a different story, and Posada probably catches more. But right now it makes sense to have Jorge be the DH.
Marcus Thames is in AAA with the rehab start, DH.
And there's Nick Johnson, and they hope he gets back sometime in August. The 1-0. Strike, 1-1. Grounded to first. Branyan's right there, and that will do it. Yankees waste the leadoff double. 1 runner stranded. We go to the 5th. It's 3-0 Seattle. join them on the post-game show. Another conversation between Angel Hernandez and Javi Vasquez. Much to the chagrin of Javi.
Well, we'll find out later.
Leading off is Ichiro, and it's time now for Al's scouting report, which is brought to you by the Home Depot.
Well, hit machine, 200-plus hits in 9 consecutive years. We talked about the record season. He had 262 hits. Just so much fun to watch. Led all the 2000s in hits at 2,030 hits. Right-handed hitter, left-handed pitcher. He was a right-handed hitter as a little boy. His dad made him a left-handed hitter because he said he was closer to first base. And when he was drafted,
another base hit
by the Ornix Blue Wave in Japan, they considered him to be a pitcher. Good thing for baseball. And also Freddie Lynn. He was Rookie of the Year and American League MVP, and only one other player had done that. It was Fred Lynn.
Kia scoreboard 3-0 Mariners. How about this? I did my own little scouting report. You know what Ichiro means in Japanese? It means first boy. Now, unfortunately, Ichiro's the second son in the family. So when the second son is named first boy, it's got to make the first boy really feel bad.
Right. What's he doing?
No.
He doesn't like Dad.
Dad didn't like him. But Ichiro's dad, Nobuyuki, named Ichiro for first boy. And he was the second born son. That's got to leave a mark, especially at Thanksgiving, you know? All the holidays. Pitches outside.
You know, I know you don't have any children, Michael, but, you know, coaching Little League and then reading the stories on Ichiro and how his father, you know, worked him and, you know, basically born to be a baseball player. Batting cage, hitting, fielding, every aspect of the game from the time he was 3 years old. And just fun to read because I know there's a lot of parents out there that, you know, have their kids in every different Little League and trying every little tool to try to be the next Mark Teixeira or Ichiro or A-Rod or Derek Jeter. Or any other superstar player that a kid fantasized growing up to be a major leaguer. Hall of Famer, what he's done. So came here when 26 years old, had to play 10 years in the big leagues in their big leagues in Japan. What his numbers would look like if he was a youngster here.
You know what? He's going to be 37 this winter, and he's going to end up with 3,000 hits. And starting here in the States at 27, that's amazing. Yeah. From 06 to today, 1,005 for Ichiro and about 102 more than Derek Jeter. And Ichiro doesn't really conduct many interviews in Spanish, in English, but he knows English very well, and he knows some slang phrases. Remember when Jim Cott used to do the games with us? He'd walk up to Ichiro at the batting cage, and Ichiro would just smile and go, "There he is, my brother from another mother." And he'd like fire off lines like that.
Well, how selective too. You come over and it's broken English, obviously being a Japanese-born player, but you could stay away from a lot of interviews if you wanted.
You never wanted that. You loved interviews, didn't you?
Yeah. Took my time with it. You know your place. Yeah, but that's part of the distraction. Also, too, I think it's somewhat of a shame. You know, and I know the Mariners were very good for several years. This is a little bit of a lull right now, but for his great playing career, will he be a guy that'll never have seen a World Series game?
Runner goes, 3-2. Is lined down the right field line. Foul. Ichiro flying around the bases, but he'll head back to first.
Clank there by the fan.
goes. That one is served into left field. Colin Curtis will put it away. NYY State, located at Gate 6 of Yankee Stadium, is a great place to host your next corporate event, birthday party, and much more. NYY State will be hosting a Ridge Wine tasting dinner on July 14th. Please call 646-977-8325 for reservations, or you can visit nyystake.com for details. You know, we're talking about people who conduct interviews and like to conduct interviews. One of the greatest of all time dropped by and visited us in the booth. David Cohn was here before the game. He looked great. Tan, well rested.
Yeah, he
looked tremendous.
Play.
It's good not to work. Here's Russell Branyan. He really did look good, and it was good to see David.
Yes. Well, you know, you say that. Hopefully in jest, but there are guys that, you know, that are kind of the go-to guys. You mentioned about David Cohn, you know, being one of those players. It's not that you enjoy it. You realize, especially as a veteran player, you've been around, that somebody has to kind of diffuse things, or at least have the group of beat writers to come over. As you know, Michael, you've done that for years, to be able to answer team questions as opposed to just, you know, your game or, you know, what happened to you. Some guys can handle it. Some guys hate it. Some guys accept it as part of the job.
Well,
I don't think anybody's really said, yeah, I like this.
I think he liked it. I think he enjoyed the give and take. I think it invigorated him. And I couldn't agree with you more about this, Al. He did it for a purpose. He let the other guys off the hook. The writers crowded around David, and the other guys could just leave. The Paul O'Neills didn't have to be saddled down with interviews, and Tino's and Derek. Everybody talked to David, and I think there was a method to his madness.
Yes.
He did that when he was with the Mets, and he carried it over across town to the Yankees, and they won championships, so he was doing that.
Ooh, Angel, he did it again.
He did it again, wouldn't give time.
Oh, it's a free strike for Javi Vasquez. Didn't get it. Watch here. Now he steps out. Angel Hernandez saying, no, you don't. Now Vasquez recognizes all he has to do is pump in a nice little strike. That's a total ball.
And Branyan is walked. Isn't it a little odd, though, Al? We know that there's been a directive that they'd like the games to be sped up just a bit. Why is it Angel Hernandez? I mean, we see every game, and we don't see any other umpire not allow players to step out. Why is it Angel Hernandez who doesn't allow a player to step out?
Well, you said it. I mean, I think there are some guys, and maybe Angel is one of those umpires that I'm not going to say wants to be noticed, but, you know, that definitely is one that is doing things that he ultimately ends up being noticed. And you're right. He's the only one that I know of right now that does stuff like that just occurred.
I have not seen any other umpire deny a timeout. Good night so far for Milton Bradley, a home run and an infield single.
You know, and also too, and now, and this is my pitcher's cap is on right now, but just watching these games, and I do chart the game. You know, there's been a handful of pitches, both sides, that have, you know, somewhat have squeezed plate. I thought a couple of the pitches in that at bat against Branyan. So, you know, the irony there is that you got an umpire that wants to speed up the game, but yet, you know, you're going to have a small zone. The way to quicken a game, and I always say, is that high strike. Plate coverage a little above the belt. Make hitters more aggressive. They swing the bat. You don't have situations like this. You got pitching coaches running out, calming guys down. Umpire's got to come out, break it up. You'll have much more of an aggressive pitchers across the board. Going out there, okay, enough, guys, long enough. You know, bad counts. I'm not saying give away, you know, a ball that's a ball to make it a strike.
The count 2-0 on Milton Bradley. Lost that one to left field, backing up Curtis, and he makes the play. The runners head back. Well, Bradley gave that a ride. Traveled a lot more than it seemed like it should, so that's 2 outs. Hey, tomorrow the Yankees close out the series against the Mariners right here in the Bronx. Our coverage on Yes is going to start at 12:30 with the Tri-State Ford pregame. Then Al and I are back here in the booth with the call. The Mariners against the Yankees tomorrow at 12:30. only on Yes, and CC Sabathia will get the start for the Yanks against Ryan Roland Smith. Count 1-0 to Jose Lopez.
Well, certainly the formula for the Mariners is as dismal as their offense has been. I certainly haven't seen that in these 2 games so far. You have your 2 aces going. You realize that as an opposing starter, you have to be on your game. If not, it's going to be awfully tough for your offense to battle back. You're not just talking about an ace of a staff. You're talking about maybe top 7, 8, 9, 10 pitchers in the game in Cliff Lee, and tonight with Felix Hernandez. Last night they didn't get the start from Phil Hughes. Certainly 3 runs is an insurmountable deficit. You want to keep it there. Put the statistics, Mike, to what Felix Hernandez has done in his starts. In only 3 of his starts, he gave up 5 runs or more. This is his 17th start. 5 runs he gave up against Texas in 4 1/3. Gave up the 7th spot in the next start against the Angels, and 6 innings against Texas again. So they have a tough pitcher, obviously.
There's the inside move, chasing Ichiro back. Ichiro is on second, and Branyan is at first. 2-1 count, 2 outs, top of the 5th. Pitch up and away, 3-1. Chad Godin is ready in the bullpen. And Ryan Langerhans is on deck. Line drive, and that's a foul ball. And that was about a foot foul of being a 2-run double.
Yeah, right now Cervelli's going out to Vasquez. They're not on the same page. There's a couple little shakeoffs coming out, making sure that they're on, thinking alike. Hanging slider, getting back in the count 3-2 pitch. Potentially could be his last at bat. Make it the best pitch of the night.
Popped up and out of play.
Battle right here for Javi. Not being on command control. Just being off enough. And it's only 3 runs, but when you battle and you see that pitch count up to 92 pitches already, you're not through the 5th, you realize it's not going to be a deep night innings-wise. This is the mentally tough part of pitching, just to be able to continue to maintain the right mindset and make pitches.
3-2. Missed outside, so the bases are loaded. So Vasquez struggled a bit in his last time out against Arizona. Didn't lose the game. Yankees did win in extra innings, and laboring just a bit tonight. Certainly not getting slapped around by any stretch of the imagination, but he doesn't seem very sharp. Godin's just ready for the signal now. He's warmed up. Langerhans pinch hit in the 2nd inning for Franklin Gutierrez, who left the game with an upset stomach. Late on that one, and Langerhans is 1 for 2. He singled in the 2nd, struck out in the 3rd. Ichiro's at 3rd, Branyan at 2nd, and Jose Lopez is over at 1st. Pitch count building. his short career with the bases loaded, Ryan Langerhans is 7 for 31. That's 226. Vasquez pitch count is high. Why? Because he's thrown 25 pitches this inning. One. There's a strike, and the count 1-2.
Langerhans not being able to pull the trigger on that fastball, missing, ends up being middle of the plate. He got him out with off-speed pitch. First at bat, he came in and replaced Franklin Gutierrez, deposited a single in left field. Let's see if he goes with the hard stuff upstairs or something soft in the dirt.
Swing and a miss, got him. Goes upstairs with heat. No runs, a hit, no errors, and the bases are left loaded at the end of 4.5. We are halfway through. It's 3-0 Seattle.
GMC presents Center Stage with Michael Kay, from his top chart days of the four seasons to his recent cameos on the hottest TV shows. Frankie Valli discusses his legendary career on Center Stage tonight after the postgame, only on Yes.
Got to watch that one. Frankie Valli, that's a legend. Jersey boy.
Jersey.
Al's seen the Jersey boys 3 times.
3 times. Loved it.
Count 1-2. Al's a big Broadway guy. Seen Wicked a couple times. Actually saw Fela. I actually saw that with him. As Granderson goes down on strikes.
Aren't you? Don't you love Broadway?
I do. I think it's great. One of the great parts of New York. As I was telling LeBron just the other day, they don't have Broadway in Akron.
You were telling LeBron.
Just kidding. Colin Curtis with a pop-up.
Doesn't
the
see
second
it.
baseman can't see it. Now he does, and it drops, and Curtis hustling all the way gets himself a double. Figgins had no idea. And if you look at the sky right now, not quite day and certainly not quite night. And it got lost in the gloaming.
He didn't see it right off the bat. It's got to be a helpless feeling. As Michael said, it is twilight. And if you don't get it off the bat, that's exactly what happens. He needed some help. Obviously, there you see Figgins trying to get some help from Branyan. Colin Curtis doing the right thing, busted out of the box, getting a double out of this.
That's twilight, not the movie, the sky. So is that the break the Yankees need?
And the pitch to Cervelli is outside 1-0. As a pitcher, I know what you're going to say. Well, you got to just absorb it. That's got to annoy you. You had an out.
I think the way he's pitching, depends on the game. Certainly the way he's dominating right now. Yes, it's part of the game, and boy, you want to do the pity party, but it certainly didn't result in a run. I'll tell you what, it'd be really upsetting if there were some runners on base and he ends up scoring a couple of runs as a result of it. Very important for all the fielders right now to really pay attention to that zone when that ball is hit off the bat. Pick it up immediately before it gets to that twilight sky.
One. Popped up. Let's see if he sees this one. Figgins does not see it. And Ichiro does. Figgins was going back and really had no idea where the ball was.
Wow.
They can laugh about it because Ichiro was there.
Well, you would think after the first one. Now, granted, you either see it or you don't, but immediately off the bat, before it gets up past the stadium seating, if you can track it right through the zone. Hernandez immediately, there it is, point as most pitchers should, identify, help the fielders.
He was starting to get annoyed when he thought the ball was going to drop. But Ichiro bailed him out. Now that'll bring up Jeter. Jeter walked in the first inning and then struck out looking at a good fastball on the inside part of the plate. Right back to Hernandez. Knocked him down from his backside. He gets the out for the final out of fifth. No runs to hit, no errors, and one man left on base. Hernandez saw that one. Figgins didn't see the other one. And we go to the sixth. It's 3-0 Seattle. You've been texting at 58772. After the pitch, we'll tell you the results. And a bunt. And if it stays fair, it's a hit. And it kicks foul. Now we get a chance to see the vote. How about that? I mean, really. I'd like those 30%.
Give a reason?
To give your home number out. Let them call Al and tell him why you would say that he shouldn't be a first batter. I mean, 630 home runs.
I think because we said 100%. I think just for the fun of it.
So there's spiteful people out there?
Oh, yeah.
That's healthy. I like that. 3-0 Seattle. The 0-1 to Wilson. Popped up. Let's see if the Yankees could see it. Cervelli does and makes the play. Well, here are this is for the 30% who say he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. 22 Major League seasons, 13-time All-Star, 10 Gold Gloves, won the MVP in '97, 5th all-time with 630 home runs. Well, what about that is not a Hall of Famer?
He didn't win 2 MVPs.
He didn't win a World Series.
Got hurt.
Did get hurt a lot. I talked to his dad a couple of weeks ago and asked him what kind of numbers would Junior put up at Yankee Stadium. He said, well, if you look at his average and his numbers, he said he's a 300 hitter there. And he said, I thought right field was made for him with the porch and the short porch and the upper deck. He said, I think he would have been unbelievable at Yankee Stadium.
One would never know.
Ken Griffey Jr. always used to say he didn't want to play for the Yankees. He was upset over a perceived slight when he was a kid, and his dad was, a Yankee then, and he wasn't allowed to run around and play. But I spoke to Tino Martinez, and he said, Griff just said that. He would have loved to have been a Yankee. He just knew that would have been the biggest stage for him. He would have loved it.
Would have gotten a couple World Series.
Yeah. Now, we talked about unanimous, Al. Is he going to be a unanimous selection? As Johnson goes down swinging. No one's ever been unanimous. The highest percentage ever. Watch this catch that Griffey made at the old Yankee Stadium. And that was against Jesse Barfield, who they acquired for you.
Yes, I do remember. Millie.
See Marte getting ready. Seaver has the highest percentage of votes ever, 98.34. 98.84.
But hasn't there been some of the writers that just say they just don't do it?
And you know what? I think that's ridiculous.
Time.
You're going to know why I don't like that? Because what if all of the writers decided to do that at the same time? Then the guy would be off the ballot. You couldn't vote for him anymore. You have to have a certain percentage of votes. I think it's 5% of the vote in order to stay on the ballot. What if everybody independently said, I don't want this guy to be unanimous? He wouldn't be on the ballot anymore.
Didn't that happen with Roberto Alomar? People were, with the spitting incident. They said, yes, we know he's a Hall of Famer, but I'm not going to vote him this time.
Right.
I mean, he didn't get enough vote. We're talking about unanimous. He didn't get enough votes, obviously, to be qualified or to get in.
Well, this is how tough it is. Babe Ruth got 95.13% of the vote. Babe Ruth. Willie Mays, some might argue he's the best player of all time, got 94.68. That's just being obstinate. How's he not a Hall of Famer? Nolan Ryan second most with 98.79% after Seaver.
Well, these writers are people, and I'm sure along the way maybe they were slighted in some way and they've used a grudge or two against them.
The 2-2? Yeah, you wonder how Seaver is not unanimous. What did Tom Seaver ever do that he wouldn't be a Hall of Famer first ballot? How could you not vote for him? And the 2-2. And I also feel that as time moves on now, newspapers, unfortunately, are in trouble, and a lot of them are closing. I think the electronic media should be allowed to vote for the Hall of Fame. I don't think it should just be the baseball writers. I think that people that do the games on TV or radio or cover the games for electronic outlets, they see just as many games as writers. So I think that's something that's going to have to be investigated, because 100 years from now, are there going to be newspapers? I hope there are. I think newspapers are very important for the country, but how do we know?
Well, there's already a lot of the sports writers going over to the internet, as you say,
right,
because of the coverage.
3-2. Fouled out. Saunders had a home run in the third inning off of Vasquez, then struck out in the fourth. High pitch count for Javi, 112, but they want to get him through this inning. Save the bullpen just a bit. The 3-2. Nice play there by Teixeira. He will flip to Vasquez covering, and that will do it. A 1-2-3 inning here in the top of the sixth. 3-0 Mariners. Time now for a message from our friends at the Fox Business Network. Just 2 hits, one by that man in the on-deck circle, Mark Teixeira. The other one, a twilight double by Colin Curtis that should have been caught by the second baseman, Sean Pickett. So Nick Swisher will lead off here against Hernandez. Pitch outside, 1-0. Popped up. Another try in the twilight. This time Figgins sees it and makes the play.
A little darker sky. He was able to let everybody know early on that he tracked it. Watch here, this guy got it. Looks like a little breaking it down. Yep. I can see that one.
Here's Teixeira rocketed a double right in the fourth. And a strike. You know, Yankees are swinging earlier in the count against Hernandez than they usually do because they don't want to fall behind. He's throwing strikes. Walked 2 batters in the first, nothing since. Count 1-1.
Well, and also, too, Michael, when you have a guy with 3 out pitches, great changeup, great curve, slider, you know you're going to get your fastball. It's just your opportunity to get a good rip at it.
That's like he broke his bat.
That's a changeup there. 89 mile an hour. Just the bottom drops out of it. And what I like about what Felix does, it's not only to the left-handed hitters. Normally you see a right-handed pitcher throw changeups to lefties, not the righties, and vice versa. Left-handed pitchers, changeups to the right-handed hitters. He'll use it either side, which just is an added weapon to his arsenal.
Cliff Lee with a complete game last night, just a spectator tonight. This is what King Felix has done in his career. Last year, the best year, 19-5, 2.49. Check swing, but he goes around, and Teixeira strikes out for the second time tonight. Well, Yankee fans, become part of the winning team by joining the New York Yankees fan club. For just $40, you will receive an official membership card, a World Championship nylon banner, a World Championship coin, a New York Yankees cap, special ticket discounts, and other exclusive fan club items. To join, call 1-800-GO-YANKS or log on to Yankees.com today. Here's Alex. Check swing and foul back. Alex walked in the first and struck out in the fourth. Quickly, 0-2.
Just two fastballs. They're just emergency hack. They're 94, 95 miles an hour. But you'd see the late movement for Alex Rodriguez, great hitter, to really be surprised in the sense that the ball's just rushing up on him.
Swing and a miss. Foul tip held onto by Johnson. A 10-pitch, 1-2-3 inning. We played 6. It's all King Felix. 3-0 Seattle. Yankees Baseball on Yes is brought to you in part by J&R Music and Computer World and by Ford, the official truck of the New York Yankees. Well, Joe Girardi makes the call to the bullpen, brought to you by AT&T. Rethink possible. Javier Vasquez goes 6, allows 3 runs, and they turn to Damaso Marte. He'll pitch in his 27th game. Obviously a specialist, 14 2/3, 8 hits. Too many walks and 10 strikeouts.
Yeah, those 11 walks really stand out.
Verizon Wireless scoreboard 3-0 Seattle as Ichiro grounds it foul. Mariners locked up Ichiro, 5-year, $90 million contract. He signed it in July of 2007, and it will keep him in a Mariner uniform through the age of 39 in 2012. But how's this for setting yourself up for your own little 401k? So it's a $90 million deal, and the team is deferring $25 million of the $90 million, so they will not fully pay him until 2032.
Well, it makes sense. In this day and age, it's a ton of money, a lot of money to be made in the game. Why not?
Pretty nice resume. Won the Rookie of the Year and the MVP in 01. 9-time All-Star, 9 Gold Gloves. Amazing amount of hits in 2004. All 9 seasons, 200-plus hits. And only Fred Lynn in 75 won the Rookie of the Year and the MVP in the same year. So during this deal, he'll get $17 million a year. He got a $5 million signing bonus, and as we mentioned, a lot of it is deferred. Deferred money must be fun. You know, it's like, boom, it just shows up. not expecting it. It's there.
Well, you expect it because it was money that was owed. And you just.
But I mean, you probably forget about it.
No, you don't. You don't forget about it.
David Robertson warms up. The 2-2. Missed outside. It's almost like the $170 check that Paul O'Neill gets every couple of weeks for his Seinfeld appearance. The 3-2. Fouled away.
Is that right?
Yeah, he keeps getting these checks. And Seinfeld's going to be on forever, so it pays for a couple of meals at the Sizzle.
170 for one show?
I think it was something like that.
Come on.
He was brilliant in that show, hitting 2 home runs. That one is chopped slowly to short. Charging is Jeter. He fires to first. They get Ichiro. Nice play by Jeter.
Great play by Jeter. Knowing, obviously, the speed of Ichiro, and this is what he's done for his whole career. Ichiro Suzuki coming up strong. Bang, bang. Good play. Coming out of the box, left-hander, bang it on the ground, run. Gets a nice little hop there. Quickly makes the transfer. Good, strong throw. Ooh, very close.
How about this? This is why you have Marte on the team. Lefties are now 0 for the last 19 against Marte. In fact, they're 0 for 19 in the season. And Marte has also held opponents hitless in the last 17 at-bats. So he's starting to pitch very well. Pickens was 0 for 3 against Vasquez. The 0-1. 1-1.
Which is the very reason why you have Marte, obviously, nice postseason last year. You're going to get a key lefty or two out late in the game. That's the role of what Marte brings to the pitching staff.
I think that bat might have gotten Angel Hernandez. Let's see. Ooh. I think he got him on the padding on his shoulder, but that still has to hurt. Did he go? No, he did not.
Wow. Well, he makes an effort to swing and checks up. Yeah, that was tough. That was close. You see why Marte's tough on lefties. A good sneaky fastball, sidewinder, drops down low 3/4 his arm slot. Good fastball slider combination with lefty.
3-2. Fouled away. Three-two. Fouled away.
It's a short, little, quick stroke from Figgins, just trying to keep the ball in play. See a pitch, fastballs away, not trying to do a whole lot. This is an approach for a small guy like Figgins, trying to go the opposite way. A right center field approach.
3-2.
The battle within the battle. Tough for a pitcher. You got a guy fighting off the pitches. You're thinking strike. Normally pitchers throw for corners. Here you're just throwing for a strike somewhere in the zone where you want them to put it in play.
Nice battle won there by Figgins as he lines that single to left field. I told you that Figgins has a stolen base streak working. 6 games in a row.
Good head down. The ball ended up cutting. But, you know, that was a great battle from Figgins. Marte, you don't want to walk him. You want him to put it in play. Said about the 11 walks in the 14 innings. You'd much rather have that than to give him the base on ball. Good at bat.
He's going to throw to second. Not in time, and it gets past Jeter, backed up nicely by Cano. So that is 7 straight games with the stolen base for Figgins. And it's his 23rd stolen base in 27 attempts.
But he was going big leg kick. He saw it easily. This was a situation where he absolutely got that stolen base off of Marte. Big leg kick. Some guys don't realize that, there's less paying attention or concern with the runner, but Figgins absolutely was heading out there. Nice backup from Cano, keeping that ball from not getting to the outfield.
And a strike.
It's only been 2 at-bats lifetime, Brandon, against Marte, 0 for 2. Not much of a history.
Missed outside.
I know King Felix is pitching a gem, but this is a big run late in the game for the Mariners to try to push across here. Big stolen bases. Big pitch right here.
2-2. Driven out into right center field, giving chase is Granderson. He's not going to get there. It's gone. A 2-run home run for Branyan, and it is 5-0 Seattle. That is a big blow for the Mariners.
Sure is. You're trying to keep him at 3 runs. It's a slider, middle away. Russell Branyan has that kind of power. Said he's the only one that hit it off the Mohegan Sun glass in center field. He absolutely crushed that ball. His 11th home run on the year, 26 RBI, deposited in the Yankee bullpen. That was the first home run given up off of Marte. Beautiful swing, head down, got it out front.
And the first hit by a lefty. I don't know who that lounging Yankee reliever was, but he made the play seem very easy. So that's why they got Branyan, to supply some power. There's Milton Bradley. Strike. Boone Logan with that catch. Holding the ball in his right hand. Count 1-1. Grounded to short for the second out. Dave Island checking to see if Robertson is ready. King Felix pacing. He wants to get to the mound. He's been pitching great.
Yeah, you'll take some insurance runs anytime late in the game. That's a big blow. Even we'll see how this game plays out. But 3-0 deficit, obviously much easier. Now down 5 runs.
Well, Branyan's home run snapped a string of 19 straight hitless at bats for lefties against Marte. And incidentally, that does not span over the entire season, so it's 0 for the last 19. Well, Joe Girardi's walking slowly to the mound, and Angel Hernandez is making the signal to the bullpen before Joe does, because it's the second trip. So Robertson will come on to face Jose Lopez. It's Chad Godin. It's 5-0 Seattle. 2-run shot by Branyan here against Marte. Certainly has widened the lead. Insurmountable, no, but remember they're going up against a pitcher who really is dealing. So in front of another big crowd, Chad Godin comes on in relief. You see his numbers. He's been pitching better of late. Now Seattle, a team that came into this series having a lot of trouble scoring runs. They have 3 home runs tonight. That matches a season high for the M's.
Well, you talk about, going into this series. I mean, in less than 16 innings, they have had 20 hits between last night and tonight. For a club that was last in RBIs in the American League, last in Major League Baseball in home runs, last in slugging, I mean, right across the board. Worst average for a team in the American League. Have not shown that in these 2 games.
Driven into right field. Nick Swisher makes the play on the run, and that's going to do it in the 7th. But 2 runs on 2 hits, no errors, and nobody left on base at the end of 6.5 time for the 7th inning stretch. Here at the stadium, Seattle leads the Yankees 5-0, but we'll stay right where we are and honor America in the Bronx.
Please rise and offer a moment of silent prayer. We remember the servicemen and women who are serving our country at home and around the globe. Thank you. Now Kate Smith's rendition of God Bless America.
Well, the last one I can't speak to, Bob, but we look forward to that as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. On the Verizon Wireless scoreboard, it's 5-0 Seattle over the Yankees. And Robinson Cano leads off, and the pitch is low, 1-0 from Felix Hernandez. So now Seattle's lead is 5-0. Cano 0 for 2 with 2 fly balls to left. And now he is 0 for 3 as he lines one to Wilson. 1 away.
2 line outs from Robinson Cano. A tough pitcher, obviously, with what Felix Hernandez is doing. Hardest battle for the Yankee hitters is to just stay within each of the at-bats and just try to get a pitch to drive.
Let's take a look at the Yankees in-game box score, brought to you by McDonald's. Just 2 hits for the Yankees, a double by Teixeira, and really a pop-up that was lost in the gloaming or the twilight by Colin Curtis. Sean Figgins couldn't see it. So 1 legitimate hit against Felix Hernandez. The 0-1 to Posada, and Hernandez continues to deal the count 0-2.
That's the pitch right there, Michael. That's very impressive. And the first about Teixeira, where you get struck out, he said, unbelievable. That's the kind of drop off the table type pitch he's got. Then he comes back with a hard slider at 85 miles an hour. It's a changeup. It'll run away, but tremendous arm speed. Look at that ball float away. Now he's throwing 95. He ends up throwing that 89. It's a 6 mile an hour difference, but the arm speed is what hitters pick up. Looks just like a fastball.
Strike 3, Posada down looking.
Very impressive. You got different weapons for Hernandez to be able to go to. You see him just lock up Posada. He's got the hard breaking ball. Now this one he takes a little off, just a nice little 12-6er. They've got a break that goes sideways, and this one goes straight down. From respecting 95 miles an hour, great changeup in the 88, 89 range, and then 2 different type of breaking balls.
And there's a strike to Granderson. Hernandez working quickly and deals another strike, and the count 0-2.
He could go just a couple places here off Granderson. Big curveball, fastball, high fastball, something breaking ball in the dirt.
That was in the dirt, but Granderson didn't chase.
Certainly not for the Yankees, but you watch a guy, a young pitcher like Felix, do his thing and be able to have so many weapons. It's certainly fun to watch.
Grounded to third. Lopez is there. And a 1-2-3 inning for Felix Hernandez. Yankees retired an order in the 7th. We go to the 8th. It's 5-0 Seattle. We'll give you tonight's candidates in a sec. First pitch from Godin is low. Felix Hernandez, Milton Bradley, Russell Branyan, Michael Saunders. I think most people will vote for Felix. Vote now, make your voice heard. Standard text messaging rates apply. That first pitch was actually called a strike. That one's a ball, so they count 1-1. Count 1-2. Godin came in to get the final out of the 7th. The home run in the 7th, the 2-run shot by Brandon, changes the whole complexion of this game. And the hope to come back. As I said, this Yankee team has an explosive offense, but you're going to need some help from the pitcher to make some mistakes. So far, it doesn't seem as if Felix Hernandez is in the mood to make mistakes. 2-2.
Well, and you can't hit a 5-run home run. A 3-run deficit, you can scratch a run and get a little closer, and you're always, a single or a walk and a big fly away from tying the game up. You got that 5-run. And you just see the approach, too, differently with Felix Hernandez.
Granderson makes the play.
3 up, 3 down, last 2 innings.
Well, let's check out tomorrow's starting pitchers, brought to you by Fios TV, Internet, and Phone. This is Beyond Cable. This is Fios. Ryan Roland Smith not having a good year. 1-7, 6.18 for the Mariners. And CC Sabathia has been pitching lights out of late Friday against the Dodgers. Great game, 9-3, 3.49. Now mark this down. Our coverage begins at 12:30. It's a matinee on Thursday. It's going to be on Yes, and the first pitch will be about 1:08. There's a strike to Jack Wilson. In fact, the next 4 games before the Yankees head out on the West Coast will be day games. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all 105 starts. July 4th weekend coming up.
Beautiful.
Big plans out?
Yes.
Really? Driving distance?
Driving distance out.
You don't want to give your location.
Well, east.
Up the middle. Grabbed by Jeter. And Wilson is out for the second, out of the inning.
Boy, it's so reactionary. It's Chad Godin reaching down with his pitching hand. You want to figure out any way to stop the baseball. It had enough hop for Derek Jeter to get to this baseball. Nice little short hop, gets his feet underneath him. Watch here, Chad Godin. The reaction is, I could get it. Get my hand out of the way. See, so many pitchers injure themselves enough to lose a start. Or worse, DL.
And the 1-1. 1-2.
There's always some silver lining. Watching last night's start with Cliff Lee, dominant, other than the couple home runs he gave up to Nick Swisher. Now here tonight with Felix Hernandez, frontline guys in the game. But you saw Chan Ho Park last night, did a nice job. Now here Chad Godin coming in, being able to get some work in and pitch in meaningful spots. Where ultimately maybe you get in more meaningful games as the season goes on to prove to your manager and pitching coach that you deserve it. Over Godin's last 3 appearances, struck out 5 batters in the 6 innings, scoreless. Although Chan Ho last night, Michael, 2 innings, 1 strikeout, no hits. He looked good. Trying to give Joe Girardi some other looks in the bullpen as the season goes on. Different guys, different roles that they're in that you can pitch your way back to a further part of the game.
Missed outside. And the count 3-2 to Johnson. 3 strikeouts for Johnson. He does not want the golden sombrero. Right now he has the hat trick. Foul back. Tano had that good outing yesterday. Now a spectator today. And the payoff. Popped up. Long run for Cano. And he can't make the play. He called off to Teixeira. Cano makes that play usually unerringly, but just went off the edge of his glove. We'll see if they score that in E4. It was a long run.
Thought he was closer to the stands than he was. Yeah, he said it. My bad. Yeah, once he calls off everyone, you aggressively go to it. But you saw him track it. He didn't get a chance to see how far he was from the stands. Looked like he went after it gingerly.
Sean Figgins has had a rough night at second. No errors, but a couple of lost fly balls. No play on that one. As Rob Johnson says thank you, and he works a walk. Well, time is certainly running out. And if you'd like to vote for your 2010 All-Star selection, you have to do it soon. You can help send your favorite Yankees to the All-Star game by voting up to 25 times at Yankees.com. Log on and vote exclusively on Yankees.com today. Voting ends tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Pitch to Saunders is low. Hey, Alex Rodriguez took part in something very, very special today. Bronx Lebanon Hospital here in the borough. They dedicated the Alex Rodriguez Pediatric Outpatient Center. And the Yankee third baseman donated $250,000 to have that center built. So a nice thing by Alex to do. Getting involved in the community, and certainly anytime you can help children, it's a great thing. So he has that center named after him, and I'm sure he's quite proud of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Good for him. And, you know, there's so many guys that do an awful lot of good charitable work, and Alex is one of them. Not only do they reach out with respect of other charities, but they many players now have their own foundations and do a lot of good work out in the community.
Just got a piece, also looked like he got a piece of Cervelli. Angel Hernandez walks out to go down just to give Cervelli a little time to collect himself.
The tools of ignorance. Catchers, tough guys.
The 2-2 outside. Runner goes 3-2 in on the hands, popped up. Cervelli goes after it, but runs out of room. Well, Girardi's been there. Long-time catcher. So he's felt those same pains. Again, the runner goes on the 3-2. Driven deep to right field. There it goes. See ya. Into the second deck. The second home run for Saunders. It's a 2-run shot, and it gives Seattle a 7-0 lead.
Well, gets a 3-2 fastball and looked good in his first at bat. Same swing, good approach inside, down and in. And I don't know a whole lot of left-handed hitters in the big leagues that don't like that pitch on the inside part of the plate. Chad Godin going after him, trying to throw a strike now. His 7th home run on the season. His first career multi-home run for Saunders.
Ichiro fouls that back. So 7 runs by Seattle, 6 of them coming via the home run.
Seeing a guy like Ichiro going for the downs there, you got a big comfortable lead. The Mariners haven't seen this a whole lot this year.
Tapped out left side. Alex Rodriguez there. And it gets Ichiro for the final out of the 8th. But 2 more runs on 1 hit. No errors and nobody left. The 2-run home run by Michael Saunders. He has 2 bombs tonight. And the Mariners have a 7-0 lead. Over the Yankees. Yankees have managed just 2 hits, 1 legitimate hit. Clean double down the right field line by Mark Teixeira. The other double was by the guy at the plate, Colin Curtis. He had a high pop-up at second base, and it was at twilight. Sean Piggins couldn't see it. Dropped to the ground, and it was a double.
You know, watching these last 2 nights, Michael, I don't know how you feel about it, but when you have, stellar front-end pitchers, make any team mediocre record-wise look like playoff contenders, World Series teams, between what Cliff Lee was able to do and also Felix Hernandez.
It shows you how important pitching is to the game, because let's say last year, when Zach Greinke was pitching, Kansas City was a dreadful team, but not when he was pitching. It takes it to a whole nother level. There's a ground ball to Piggins, and Colin Curtis is out. Hey, it's time to take a look at the Land Rover drives of the game, Al. Why get a car when you can own a Land Rover?
Well, it comes from Michael Saunders getting this solo home run, getting the ball out over the plate, driving the ball deep into right field. And then in the 7th, they hit the 7th home run. 2-run homer, we just saw that one. Driving that ball upper deck, second tier. The Land Rover drives of the game, Michael Saunders.
Well, here is Francisco Cervelli, and the pitch is outside, 1-0.
Which is where we talked about earlier in the game about which direction this team is going. And they certainly, what they did 2 years ago, lost over 100 games last year, over 500, made some moves the Mariners did to position themselves as a contender. And it hasn't happened up to this point, but their last 10 games are 7-3. And again, when you have Cliff Lee and Felix Hernandez on the mound, you're a playoff team with a little bit of offense. They're that good. They have a lot to make up, but you never know. Through the month of July here, they're 14 back. They do have to leapfrog a couple teams to get close to the Texas Rangers.
Popped up, right side. Branyan makes the play for the second out. Another big crowd here at the stadium tonight, 46,309 on a beautiful Wednesday evening. Reminder, everybody, tomorrow is a matinee, so we'll be on at 12:30. First pitch right around 1:08. Derek's 0 for 2 with a walk today. And he has a 4-game hitting streak on the line. Shows bunt there. Takes a pitch outside. And we told you about how anemic the Seattle offense has been. Well, they scored 7 last night, 7 tonight. First time all year they've scored 7 runs in back-to-back games. This will be the 100th pitch by King Felix, and it's a strike. Love the haircut.
It's one of those games if you're a Yankee fan.
And the 1-2. Swing and a miss. He has been overpowering tonight. As he retires the Yankees in order 1-2-3. 3 straight innings of 1-2-3. As we go to the 9th, it's all Seattle, 7-0 over the Bombers. Allowing 2 runs. Sean Pickens leading off against Chad Godin. Yankees have a couple of changes. As they get the big guns out with a pre-game or a game tomorrow at 1. Here's Pickens, the trouble he had in the field. And he also lost that one, but Ichiro was backing him up. Well, there's 3/4 of a new infield right now. You've got Russo at third, Pena at short, and Huffman at first. And the 2-2. Inside 3-2. Can the Mariners make a run? That's the question. I don't mean tonight. I mean overall. They're 12 games under 500, so assume they win this. That's 11 games under 500. And just watching how Oakland can't score runs out, I think they're better than Oakland. So I could see them overtaking Oakland. But Texas and LA, those are good teams. Are they going to lose 14 more games than you? That's the question.
Well, I think Texas, too, they're in the market for a starting pitcher.
If they can afford it.
Yeah, if they can afford. Good point.
Because of their financial difficulties.
The ownership selling. But there's still the what if, and I pose that with their general manager. And if they have a fantastic month, it will be certainly a hard decision to make because of it. I just think with Cliff Lee in particular, if you get a vibe that you're not going to be able to re-sign him, you're just going to get more on the market now than you would for your draft pick, and who knows 2, 3, 4 years later how that's a flyer as opposed to a major league ready prospect now.
Brangen lost one to left field and deep. Curtis back. He's on the track, and he makes the play in front of the scoreboard for the first out. Please don't miss the WB Mason postgame after the final out to get highlights and analysis from this game and also around the majors. Plus, we're going to talk to the key players from the clubhouse. It's all coming up on the WB Mason postgame. It's only on Yes. Now, how about this? This could be disheartening because Seattle is 7-3 in its last 10 games, 700 winning percentage. Great, right? They lost the game during that time because Texas was 8-2, and they didn't gain a game on LA because LA was 7-3. That's tough sledding.
Well, and that's the problem. You're not 14 games back of one club. You're trying to leapfrog everybody in the division.
And I think you probably get a better package for Lee if you trade him before July 31st because you're giving the team that gets him another 4 starts, another 5 starts. As Milton Bradley swings and misses for the second out.
Well, there are certain pitchers or players that are team changers, division changers. And I think Cliff Lee with the right club really is a league change. You have especially if you have another ace, 1A kind of guy, because you're now going into series, assuming you end up getting into playoffs. We saw last year what the Yankees did with their 3 starters. You have shut down starters in Felix Hernandez and Cliff Lee. Where when you're opposing those starters, you absolutely know as the opposing starting pitcher, you have to be on your game, which means limiting 2-3 runs for your own offense to know that they're going to have a tough battle all night.
Popped up, shallow center, and Granderson is there. They'll make the play, so they do not get hurt by the leadoff walk to Figgins. He is stranded. Did the Yankees have a rally in their bones? It'll have to be a big one as we go to the bottom of the 9th. truly great engineering today at your authorized dealer. And by Avis, the official rental car company of the New York Yankees. Well, it's 7-0. Mariners over the Yanks as we go to the bottom of the 9th inning. And the Mariners are trying to get back-to-back complete games. Cliff Lee yesterday and Felix Hernandez today. If Hernandez gets a win tonight, it would be only the second time this year that Lee and Hernandez have won back-to-back games.
Wow. Says a lot about how that offense has been going this year.
And Nick Swisher pops it up. Langerhans will make the play for the first out. That's going to bring up Pena. Swish was not thrilled. I don't think any of the Yankees are thrilled. Swisher 0 for 4 tonight. After hitting 2 home runs last night against Lee. So this will be Pena's first at bat. Remember, he took over at short and they put him in the number 3 hole, and Russo is batting cleanup. He replaces Rodriguez in the cleanup spot. Count 1-1.
Come up hacking for Pena. Nice pinch hit assignment against a very tough pitcher in Felix Hernandez.
And the 1-1. 2-1. How about this? The last time that teammates threw complete game back-to-backs against the Yankees, you have to go back to April 21st and 22nd of the year 2000. And that was Chris Carpenter and Kelvin Escobar of the Blue Jays.
Wow.
10 years. And Pena does not want that to happen as he works a walk. Now, the last 2 times, or the last time 2 complete games were thrown back-to-back against the Yankees at all, was May 28th and 29th of 2000 again, and it was done by separate teams. Pedro Martinez on the 28th and Omar Olivares of the A's on the 29th. So whichever way you slice it, that's 10 years ago. That was a championship Yankee team, though. They ended up beating the Mets in the Subway Series. But that year, the Yankees only won 87 games.
Yeah, and a couple things. You know, complete games are at a premium now. But pitchers just don't complete them. And obviously what the Yankees do as a lineup, take a lot of pitches. You see more times than not starting pitchers, 100 pitches around that 6th inning mark. And they just don't get a chance as a result of a tough lineup and also a team that fouls off a lot of pitches and waits them out.
You're seeing his pitch count climb, and there was some action in the Mariners bullpen. 111 pitches for Felix Hernandez. There's a breaking ball strike. Russo's been sitting on the bench and seeing this guy throw 94, 95, and then he drops that one in. Sean White warming up, and you also see John Wetland, former Yankee closer, the 96 World Series team, as Russo swings and misses for the second out. There's John Wetland. Yankee closer in 95 and 96.
Oh, his setup guy.
Yep.
Quite the tandem when Wetland and Mariano were going the 8th inning and 9th inning.
Mariano was amazing in 96. He's been amazing his whole career, but Yankees played 6-inning games. Mo would pitch a scoreless 7th and 8th, and Wetland would close it out in the 9th. Werner goes, pitch to Cano as a strike. 2 hits the Yankees have had, and really, not to belabor the point, one legitimate one. And that was the Teixeira double. The Colin Curtis double was a pop-up to second that was lost in the twilight. That's an impressive performance against this lineup.
Well, we figured going in, certainly what Felix Hernandez has done in this season and also last year, but he is that kind of pitcher.
And this should do it. Branyan flips to Hernandez, and Hernandez pitches a 2-hit shutout of the New York Yankees. He has to feel pretty good about things. He picks up his 6th win of the year, and he follows Cliff Lee's complete game with one of his own. In the 9th, no runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 man left on base. And the Yankees have lost 2 in a row here to open up this homestand. Big day for Saunders with 2 home runs. And an even bigger day for Felix Hernandez, a 2-hit shutout. So the Mariners have won this series, and the Yankees will try to salvage the final game tomorrow. And a lot coming up. Stay right here on Yes.